Maybe I'm crazy, but I enjoyed Gemini Man more than the Joker.
Boom.
Bomb drops.
We're gonna start with that.
Maybe I'm crazy, maybe I'm not.
Welcome to Maybe I'm Crazy. I'm Joy Taylor. Maybe I am crazy, but that's just how I feel. And, I got to keep it real all the time. And we'll talk about it later, but we'll talk about it later, but that is really that's how I feel. That's my conviction, and I just have to be honest with you because, you take the time to listen to what I have to say, so I have to keep it real. And Gemini Man was a more enjoyable film overall than the Joker. We'll talk about it later, though. We also talked to Jane Slater of NFL Network. She is in Dallas right now. She's all the scoops on the Cowboys and everything that's going on with them. Everyone's panicking, and rightfully so, because look, they should be playing better than they are, but they are 3-3 still. Eagles game this weekend is very important. We'll talk about the Jets, my stupid Dolphins. LAVAR Ball has some things to say. There's a new Catwoman. We'll talk about that later as well. The Browns and the Saints. But let's get started with, before we get started, Donnie, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm legitimately sorry. I felt for you last night watching that disaster of a performance by the referees. Are you okay?
I'm fine. Like I said, I expected this.
Now, I did remember that you said that. I was like, well, he's probably upset, but he did have very low expectations for what was going to happen. So maybe he's not that upset.
I was upset for about 5 minutes, but then I quickly got over it. I watched 90 Day Fiancé, and I was fine.
Interesting. That show is fascinating to me, which is why I can't take too much time to watch it because it's frustrating. But good choice by you by not being upset because life is short and just enjoy yourself. But I did feel for the Lions. It just felt like little brother, come on, man. And then and he's never had one of those penalties before in his career.
Yeah.
How does that happen? That said, watching it live, it's one of those calls where it's live, it really looks like it.
He's got a loose neck.
Bakhtiari's head was back this. He does have a loose neck, right? Good stretching. Good on him. And he's got the hair, too, so it makes it a little more dramatic.
Super wild. It's crazy.
The sweat comes off. All right, well, I'm sorry. But, maybe next time.
It's all good.
Yeah. Matthew Stafford, huh? I still can't get it done there. He'll be there next year, though. But let's get started with Jane Slater. All right, Jane Slater is joining us, NFL Network reporter. She is in Dallas right now, which is the center of panic in the NFL. I actually picked the Cowboys to go to the Super Bowl, partly because I want them to go to the Super Bowl because Fox has a Super Bowl and I'm a selfish company woman. But I also think that they have a very talented team, and they just lost to the winless Jets, to Sam Darnold coming off the kissing sickness, and everyone's freaking out. So what's the mood around the Cowboys right now?
The one thing that I'll say about the Cowboys is, regardless of what's going on, Dak Prescott seems to always have this sense of self. In other words, I've never seen the guy outwardly panic. And if you talk to his teammates, they say that's the one thing that really galvanized them their rookie season. Here was this fourth-round pick who was the fourth guy on the roster. I always remind people, Jamil Shower, the guy who ended up playing defense, was the third-string quarterback behind Tony Romo and Kellen Moore. Dak just seemingly stepped into the role and was able to inspire this feeling in Dallas that in the past with Tony Romo, and people forget this, history is always kinder to people. The knock on Romo was that he would find ways to lose at the end of games. Dak is a guy that, and you've seen him come out, regardless of the deficit in the third quarter. I mean, he was perfect in his third quarter comebacks until I believe it was 2 weeks ago. He was able to just come out and galvanize the team, and when you would talk to the players, he would find ways to at least make you think you could pull off the game. And in a lot of cases that we've seen this fourth quarter comeback, he was able to get it done. I still think that they're going to benefit from that, Joy, but I think the problem is when you start looking at some of these injuries, they're beginning to pile up. And when I was out there doing the show with you guys and I talked about this team, I was like you. I thought sky was the limit. This was one of the most talented rosters the Cowboys had put together in years. Everyone was focused on the need for Ezekiel Elliott, and we talked about finally creating so much depth in some of these positions. But when I'm looking at a guy like Amari Cooper, who is dealing with not only quad and ankle injuries, now he's got this this thigh quad contusion. Doesn't look like he's going to be able to go against the Eagles. You look at Randall Cobb, he's still dealing with some back tightness. We'll see how he is. Tyron Smith has been breaking down in recent years. And so now you've got a guy we don't know if that ankle is going to be an issue. He's apparently being evaluated on a daily basis. They're hoping he can practice at some point this week. Then you've got Lel Collins, their other offensive tackle. And then, oh, by the way, not just one, but two cornerbacks, Byron Jones and Anthony Brown out. You've got your defensive endurance, Armstrong, who's dealing with a stinger. And then you've got Tyron Crawford that just now went on season-ending surgery. He's going on the IR because he's got a hip injury that they're going to have to now deal with. So, I mean, we're talking about significant loss of starters. They ended that game against the Jets without six. I'd like to say that this is a team that we look at San Francisco and Seattle that's able to overcome a lot of these injuries, but we're talking significant injuries to significant starters.
Yeah, it's really, when you talk about all the injuries and you're listing them, it's sounding a little bit like the Chiefs, because everyone's panicking about the Chiefs right now, and it's kind of like when it comes to the Chiefs, everyone's like, well, they're having some struggles, but it's just injuries. Where when it comes to the Cowboys, it's like, yeah, they have some injuries, but they also still have, like, Dak's just not ready, and Dak's just not the guy. And I appreciate you saying that about Romo as well, because you're right. And I've said that about Romo for a long time, and I always get pushback from Romo lovers, but that's just the truth. Like, I feel like Dak is a more clutch quarterback, whatever you want to do with clutchness, but he has had them come back in these games that they've lost, and they've showed, like, some heart and fight. So it's not like they just got blown out and laid down, but all of those injuries are playing a major role. I also think that they're having a real issue with the running game. So what's the issue with Zeke? Is it just the offensive line?
I think the offensive line is an issue. I think some of it is, teams have figured out his game a little bit. But I think the curious thing is, we were looking at all of this pre-snap motion, the creativity from Kellen Moore in the first three games, and that's where all of us said, that's what we were seeing at camp. That's what we've been telling you guys about. That is, this is a different offense. It looks better than Scott Linehan's. Kellen Moore's the innovator. He's the answer to Sean McVay, and then now all of a sudden they're looking vanilla again. Now, again, I think the argument that I've gotten when I've talked to a bunch of these guys was, of course we had to run the ball because Dak is getting killed out there. It was very similar to, if you'll remember, when Chaz Green was in that Atlanta game. If you Google it, it's like one of my favorite, not my favorite images, because people aren't going to like when I say that, but one of the more, I thought, interesting images, and one that will always be burned in my mind, was someone had done it was a graph of every way that Dak had been sacked by Atlanta with Chaz Green in the game, and it looked like something from like Dante's Inferno. Like, that's how bad it was. He's getting killed back there now. They do have depth in that offensive line. Maybe they'll be able to gel with another week. We did see that they would slowly, when they lost guys like Travis Frederick and Tyron Smith and Zach Martin in the past, it would take them about a week or two to sort of get into a groove. And, I do have faith in guys like Cameron Fleming, and, they've got the one guy that we haven't seen anything from is the rookie that they went and got, the kid out of Penn State. We haven't seen him this year. But it is going to be interesting to see if they're going to be able to get this thing together, because I'm looking at the schedule, Joy, and this is where this is concerning. When we were talking about Zeke not being a part of this team, a lot of people thought, well, Zeke's going to have to come back in week 7 if he wants this season to count. And, the Cowboys are going to be able to get through the first half of this schedule. Giants, Redskins, Dolphins. Saints might be tough. Packers might be tough. They'll get past the Jets, and then, we'll see how they do against the Eagles, and they have a bye. Now let's look at the schedule after the bye week, after the Eagles.
Right.
They're at the New York Giants, which, okay, they don't have Saquon Barkley and they don't have a lot of their key players, but I think they're going to look a little bit different than they did when they saw them with Eli Manning. Then you've got the Vikings here. Then they're at the Lions, at the Patriots, and this is where this thing gets ugly. This is murder's row. Starting November 12th, week 12, they're at the Patriots, then they've got the Bills here for a Thanksgiving game, then they go to Chicago on December 5th for a night cold game. And then you've got the Rams here, then they're at the Eagles and Philly, and then they've got the Redskins on the 29th. So I think this thing's going to get tricky for them. I think the health is going to be an issue. They're going to need some depth back. I will say that, keep in mind last year, they were 3-4, I believe it was, before the bye. They made all those changes during the bye week. They fired their offensive line coach. They made a trade for Amari Cooper, and then they ended up becoming the NFC champs. I think the NFC is going to be a little bit easier for them when you consider the Giants, the Redskins, Philly. But when you look at the NFC in general, this is tricky for them this year. And like I said, especially when you consider the schedule, this is the first year in franchise history where they don't have back-to-back home games. They're on the road every other week.
Yeah, the schedule is definitely brutal. And it's funny that you mentioned that Chaz Green game. I will never forget that ever. It was staggering to watch. And I'm sure that I haven't seen that graphic, but I'm sure it perfectly encapsulates how everyone felt that Chaz Green game. I felt like Dak should have been paid at the beginning of the season. I fully believe that Dak deserves all of the money, and he should get all of the money, because despite whatever struggles they're having now, he's had tremendous success with them. And he's always compared to Carson Wentz for multiple reasons. But he's, in my opinion, it's not in my opinion, he's had a more successful career so far than Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz got paid. I don't understand what the issue is with Dak. But the way that the season is going, do you think that it's going to affect Dak's contract situation?
Well, everyone decided to, specifically his agent, Todd France, came out and absolutely denied that his camp was asking for $40 million. And I continue to stand by that report. That was the initial ask, no different than when Ezekiel Elliott went to the Cowboys, and I was told his initial ask was somewhere around the $19 million range. It's a starting point. The goal was obviously to get the Cowboys to somewhere like 35. There's no question that the Cowboys don't want to start over. They believe Dak's their guy. He's the face of the franchise, and I went to the University of Texas, and I always describe it this way: not just anybody can go be the head coach of the University of Texas. For the same reason, not just anybody can be the quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys. You're sort of like pitchman, politician / player or coach, depending on what scenario we're going to apply this to. A guy like Dak Prescott, who toes the company line, is the perfect pitch guy. You should see him work a room. He's everything the Cowboys want. He's not getting into trouble off the field. He's a leader in the locker room. He's the guy that's taking them on, team bonding trips in the off season to develop chemistry with his receivers, etc. He's everything you want. But I would argue that if he had gotten this contract done before camp, I think he would have been in the $33-34 million range. Depending on how this season goes, I feel like he's going to lose a little leverage.
Yeah, I think he's definitely losing leverage too. And again, I don't get too crazy about the number, because the number is the number. Like once the market is set, that's what he's going to be paid as a franchise quarterback. People freak out about how much these guys are paid. Like it's next man up, and the next guy's going to get more money, and that's just how it works. So it's a little different than, say baseball or even the NBA, which has, more of a soft salary cap. There's always going to be a limit, but at the end of the day, he's your quarterback, and they're not getting a new quarterback. So to me, the argument about whether to move off of Dak, it's like just stop. You sound silly. That said, there is a serious conversation about Jason Garrett. Now, I don't think that Jason Garrett is Andy Reid or Bill Belichick or Pete Carroll, but he's fine. And I'm very against firing coaches in the middle of the season. I think it sends a terrible message around the league. I think it completely demolishes your season and your locker room. And it's a bad look all around. It doesn't help anyone. Just let them finish the season, fire them with grace, move on. You're not moving on to a new coach in the middle of the season. You're not getting ahead of the coaching search. And it's the Dallas Cowboys. Now, I don't believe Jason Garrett will be fired mid-season. I don't know if you agree.
I agree.
Okay. Yeah. I just think it's nonsense to even have that conversation. It's not going to happen. But is he there next season? If they say they don't make the playoffs, is he there next season?
Well, and look, I think it's valuable for us to walk your listeners through why you might believe that and why I believe it. And I'll tell you why I believe. They gave him a 1-year deal for a reason. They didn't give him a 6-month deal. They gave him a 1-year deal so they could, in good faith, say, Jason, we gave you another season. We also gave you everything that you wanted. In other words, if you wanted Kellen Moore to be your offensive, to your quarterback's coach last year, we gave it to you. Then we made this change, and he is your offensive coordinator, although I would submit that that wasn't all Jason Garrett. That was Jerry Jones. But they've given him pieces along the way and autonomy, and for the most part, they've stepped off and said, Jason, this is your team. We're going to support you publicly. Show us what you can do. When I've talked to them privately, and I'm talking Stephen Jones, I'm talking Jerry Jones, the feeling I always get following our conversations on that very issue, because we've had seasons like this with Jason Garrett pop up in the past, it's sort of this, they feel comfortable with the devil that they know. And Jerry was on 105.3 The Fan here. He and Stephen Jones talk on The Fan, the local radio sports talk show, once, twice a week. And it was last week that Jerry Jones said, I wouldn't make a wager if I were you. In other words, wager against Jason Garrett that he would get fired.
Right.
I wouldn't put a wager on that. And then today, I thought he had a lot of interesting things to say. He said he's involved into what I think is a top-notch coach. He would be sought after if he was on the open market, and I believe that. Justine Anderson, I actually had a Twitter battle over this last year because she submitted that there wouldn't be teams that would be interested. And my argument back was, so you're telling me teams like the Cincinnati Bengals or Arizona, if things don't turn around, or Miami, go down the list. If Jason Garrett is out there on the open market, you don't think one of those teams could come after him? He's only had one losing season the whole time he's been in Dallas.
No, he would absolutely get hired.
That would be completely okay with that. And I would also argue that the reason why he remains in Dallas, and Jerry hinted on this today, there is a discipline about him. There is a way that he goes about things, and there's a continuity about him. And I'm trying to find the quote to give it to you best, but he literally said what I've been arguing to people for so long. In other words, he's never lost the locker room. It always seems like no matter what, these guys continue to play for him. Here's what he said. He said, we all need a certain order and discipline. He creates that. You can't separate that from the coach and the person. He's a top-notch individual who happens to be a good coach. He wouldn't be our coach for 10 years if he didn't have a lot of qualities to coach. And then he also said, if I totally agreed with Garrett's philosophy, he wouldn't be the head coach. And I believe that. And I believe that because, again, I think it goes back to Jerry sees these guys buy in. Like, if you're looking for – this locker room is so uniquely finally his. I mean, there were guys in the past that, they'd go and they'd say crazy things to the media and they were emotional, et cetera. These guys now, you're not going to get them to say much. You're not getting guys that are saying – if you've noticed, there's not a lot of leaks that come out of that locker room from players. There's just not.
Yeah.
And I believe that's because they are protecting and buying into Jason Garrett. Now, do I believe that they feel like he's the best guy to run this offense, et cetera, things along those lines? Not necessarily. I've talked to former players that absolutely are not a fan of the way that he calls plays, go down the list. But in terms of being the head coach, saying the right things, inspiring the team to that there's a process to buy into that process, to do things the right way, to be men of character, those are all the things that Jerry and Stephen like about him, and that's why he's continued to stay in Dallas. And he's also never tried to go out there and undercut the Jones family. There's not really an ego that comes with Jason Garrett, and they've dealt with ego at head coach in the past.
And that's very important in Dallas. But I like that. The devil you know is better than the devil you don't. But thanks so much for joining us, Jane. I really appreciate it. You are an expert and excellent, and we love watching you on NFL Network, and we love when you are in town and you come on the shows, especially on The Herd.
Thank you so much for having me on. Enjoy it anytime.
Okay, thanks, Jane.
With it. With it. Quit it.
What?
With it. We about to turn up in this bitch.
All right, Heller, what am I winning or quitting today?
Today, we give thanks to the Lord for our new #Saints. With that blessing, Pope Francis and a stifling defense, the Saints moved to 5-1 with a win over the Jacksonville Mustaches. They are now 4-0 under the Bridgewater as well. Joy, the new Saints are the best team in the NFL. Wit it or quit it.
Very clever writing by you.
Thank you.
I could see why you're in the business. Particularly liked the Under the Bridgewater. Very good.
I thought I was going
Great
a little
song.
Over the top there,
Nope.
but
excellent song.
perfect.
Good reference. And if you don't know what he's talking about with Pope Francis, the Pope did an oopsie, and he tweeted out he was trying to give props to some new saints, which I didn't know they were still doing, but apparently that's still available. You can be the president if you're a reality TV star, and you can also apparently still become a Saint. So there's still time out there for you guys to turn your life around. But I was giving shout out to New Saints, I think, and he wrote #Saints, and of course #Saints belongs to the New Orleans Saints because the NFL stole that along with Sundays. So that's what that and of course he gave it a blessing to the Saints. So there's no way they were going to lose. If you'd seen that before the game, you should have ran to your quickest available computer or mobile device and put some money on the Saints because come on. But that said, WIT IT, they are stacked and they continue to win games with finesse and convincingly, and they're doing it without their future Hall of Fame quarterback, which is probably the most impressive part. Now, in fairness, Teddy, it felt dramatic when Drew Brees went out. Like, everyone kind of freaked out. We're like, oh my God, season's over, or is it? We don't know how long he's going to be out for. But Teddy Bridgewater is not a backup quarterback. He is, in fact, a starting quarterback. He was in the Pro Bowl before he got injured. In 2015, they lost the Seahawks in the wild card round, so he's played a playoff game. And then he had an unbelievable season, obviously. He went to the Pro Bowl, and then he tore his ACL. And nobody knew what was going to happen after that, and everyone was freaking out. It was like RG3, and we didn't see him again. And now we're seeing him again, and we're being reminded that he is, in fact, a starting quarterback. I don't think that he will actually be with the Saints next year because he's had such an incredible performance. They'll probably end up trading him to somebody that needs a starting quarterback and get some pieces to re-up for next year. So good for him. He's had an incredible year and done an amazing job. That said, that's just Teddy Bridgewater who's holding it down. Cam Jordan, who plays a lot. He reminds me a lot of my brother. If you don't know who my brother is Jason Taylor, 15 years Hall of Famer, first ballot. But
big compliment.
Huge compliment, which I do not give out lightly. But just watching him come off the edge like that, he is incredible. He's in an amazing season also. Obviously, Michael Thomas, Alvin Kamara, Marshawn Lattimore, Jared Cook's been having great games. Ted Ginn Jr., Taysom Hill is this unbelievable phenomenon. They are completely stacked. They're great. And this is part of the reason why I didn't think they were going to take a huge step back this year. A lot of people thought it was going to be this whole emotional hangover from that stupid god-awful call in the Rams game, which we did have to talk about for way too long. And thank God we're all over that now, which is wonderful. But they've had great wins too. They beat the Texans, who will win their division, and Deshaun Watson is in the MVP conversation right now. Seahawks, Wilson's in the MVP conversation with Deshaun Watson. The Cowboys, my Super Bowl pick, so that's special. The Bucks are in division, so that always matters. The Jags are not an easy out anymore with Minshew mustache magic, and then now they have at the Bears, the Cardinals, and then the bye. So Drew Brees is talking about coming back against the Cardinals. I do think this Bears game is going to be interesting. It's not going to be easy. I still think they win, but playing at Chicago is never a joke. The Cardinals game, come on, let's just all calm down for a second. But I don't think that Drew Brees should come back before the bye. It doesn't matter. Teddy Bridgewater's been playing out of his mind. Even if they lose to the Bears, he should not come back before the bye. Just take the extra week. Make sure that you are 1,000%. It's a nice transition point into the back part of the season, and then they have the Falcons and at the Bucks. The fact that they're doing all this without Drew Brees is incredible. I do think they're the best team in the NFL right now, and I realize the Patriots are still also undefeated, and they are still playing amazing, but I think the Patriots have bigger holes in their roster than the Saints do, again, that without having their future Hall of Fame quarterback out there on the field. So Saints #1 to me right now, obviously Patriots close behind, but I love what I'm seeing out of the Saints. I like the Saints so much. I don't even know if I want to say. I don't even know when I'll put this out in the universe because it's I don't want the Patriots in the Super Bowl. I will be so bleeping disappointed and angry if the Patriots in the Super Bowl. I just can't. I don't want to watch another Patriots Super Bowl in my lifetime. We've seen enough. But the Saints are so fun that if it was Saints Patriots, I might be able to tolerate it. Maybe.
If the Patriots win though?
No.
All right. Speaking of not winning the Super Bowl, Jarvis Landry is frustrated by losing, Joy. The Browns' best receiver opened up to reporters on Monday saying that, quote, most of everything the Browns have struggled with has been self-inflicted. Joy, the Browns are not feeling dangerous or each other at all. WIT it or quit it.
WIT IT, they aren't feeling dangerous, and anytime you're losing, chemistry is the first thing that comes up. The Browns are the Browns. Again, I know Browns fans get angry at me anytime I say anything negative about the Browns, but I'm just keeping it real. And I thought the Browns were a wild card team that's kind of still available. The AFC North is still available if you want to start winning some games anytime soon. But they're a disaster right now. Like, everyone is coming for them. And Jarvis Landry also said, like, talent wins games. Teams win championships, and we have to find ways to play together. We already know Jarvis has bars because we saw him in Hard Knocks, and you know he had the famous quotes, "Contagious, it's contagious, bro. Contagious."
Oh my God!
And he's right. He is right. That those types of attitudes are in fact contagious, which is why I hate tanking, and which because that kind of attitude is contagious. It permeates throughout the entire organization. It doesn't just affect the players. It affects the coaches. It affects the coaches' families. It affects the front office. It affects fans. It's awful. It's contagious. And so we know Jarvis has bars when it comes to this anyway. And the whole rah-rah, like feeling dangerous and chip on the shoulder and all that stuff, that only goes so far. Eventually, you do have to win games with that bravado stuff. And winning is all that matters. And you have an opportunity this year of all years. The Ravens have been inconsistent. The Bengals are, I mean, come on, we don't talk about the Bengals around here. And Pittsburgh is on their third string quarterback. So I mean, like, here, like, take it. Take the AFC North. It's yours to take. Like, you got all this shit with you. Let's go. And I want them to. Like, I want the Browns to be good and competitive. It's not good. I don't like having conversations about teams not being competitive. That's not fun for me. I would much rather talk about who's going to win and actually be a real conversation instead of like a fluke. But Baker looks worse at playing football this year. Like, we can all just say it. He's been super inaccurate, hella interceptions. I mean, this year, he's got 56.6 completion percentage. That's not good. 5 touchdowns to 11 interceptions. What the hell, bro? I mean, yes, I understand the offensive line is not great, but come on. Like, Dak Prescott isn't playing that badly. Like, I mean, there's some questions out there, but I mean, we were talking to Jane earlier. He's like 2 offensive linemen. Like, literally might just they might have to just put 2 guys out there and like say good luck. It's not a good situation. You have to overcome stuff. That's part of the NFL. Everyone wants Odell to be the savior, but just as a reminder to everyone, Julio Jones, excellent receiver, probably the best in the NFL. He plays in Atlanta. They're awful. So he plays a dependent position. It doesn't matter how much talent he is. We all know how great Odell is. He's not going to save this team. The Browns are one of the 6 teams in the NFL without a home win this season. That's in company with the Dolphins, not a good team. Redskins, not a good team. Bucks, not a good team. Bengals, I mean, I'm not going to waste my breath on that. And the Titans. That's the crew that you're rolling with right now. So they just need to be better. Freddie Kitchens looks over his head, which is fine. He should be over his head. He's new at this. He's learning. The problem is they'll probably panic and fire him at the end of the season. And then Baker's going to be on his 4th head coach.
In 2 years. Yeah.
In 2 years, which is so Browns. Like, I will be in shock if Freddie Kitchens makes it through the entire season next year. So chemistry is always where everyone goes when teams are struggling. I don't know how to fix the Browns. But it doesn't get any better because they're on a bye this week, and then they get to come back and get a comfortable L handed to them by the Patriots in New England, and then they're 2-5. So I don't know how it gets any better for the Browns. I'd like it to. I'd like the Browns to be better, Cleveland. I'm not saying this because I don't take any happiness in this situation, which is a lot for me, okay? Because I'm from Pittsburgh, and I should be very, very happy with this. But I don't want the Browns to be bad because I like Baker. I think he's great for the league, and it's better if they're playing better. Piling on Baker is going to become a cottage industry, and I don't need it. It already exists, and I would like for them to be good so then we can have actual conversations. But 2-5 is probably what it's looking like. Hear ye, hear ye. LAVAR Ball is petty. We love you, LAVAR. Undefeated, never lost. I'm not wearing my crown today because I don't want to mess up my hair, quite frankly. LAVAR ain't going nowhere on you fools. He is around. Y'all thought it was over. Ha. Undertaker on that ass. He ain't going nowhere. Might I remind you that while you guys were all, so excited that everything was happening with Big Baller Brand, it's not dead. And Lonzo, he has said that Lonzo and Lamella are not signing with Nike. Lamella is the important part. So you guys thought it was all over, and then you forgot that, Lamella Ball's really good. He is going to be the best of the Ball brothers. He will probably be the #1 overall pick. It really just depends on who gets the #1 overall pick and if they need a point guard. But he's balling out in Australia, which we already knew. He's going to be a top 3 pick for sure, no matter what. Even if he isn't the #1 overall pick, he's going to be a superstar in the league. And Lonzo's going to have long-term success with Zion in New Orleans. So Ball family here to stay. Heller decided to wear his Big Baller Brand shirt today, probably in celebration of the story.
It was on accident, but I wear it regular because, you know.
We'll go with that story too.
Yeah, for the brand.
Either way, he's like, LAVAR is still here to stay, and you're going to have many more years of this because, as I said, LaMelo is really good. As far as how the Big Baller Brand situation is going to work out and if they are going to sign with Nike or not, that I am not too sure of because, you know, Lonzo did kind of had some things to say about how his playing went in the shoes. He had to change them every quarter. We'll see how that goes, but I think the brand lives on, and, yeah, LAVAR ain't going nowhere on you fools. All right, high-key, Sam Darnold is back. He no longer has the kissy. And low-key, that boy good. Like, damn, homie, I was wrong like that on Sam Darnold. Like, I thought that Sam Darnold was bad, but I didn't think he was that good. But he's that boy good. Yeah, he's good. I mean, he's clearly the whole pulse of that team. Now, they do deserve to be shunned for their offensive performance without him because there are a lot of teams with backup quarterbacks out there that did not look as bad as the Jets did without him. But great first win. The line is way too high against the Patriots this week. They're getting 9 right now, according to Fox Bet, I believe. I'll take those points. Thank you. By the way, you should probably pay attention to my picks. I'm just saying.
Pretty good.
Crushing it.
Pretty good.
Yeah, Sam Darnold was incredible. I'm glad he's back. And this is why the Jets were never, I never consider them to be a bad team. Like, it's just, there's nothing to take from the performances without Sam Darnold. And clearly, he is the guy. Like, he's changed life in New York. Now we can all believe in the Jets again. And, I mean, I don't think they're going to have a rousing performance against the Patriots, but I don't think that they're 9-point underdogs. That said, like, wow, the Jets, I mean, really, you do deserve some credit for how bad you were without him because he demolished the Cowboys. He made the Cowboys look like a college team. High key, damn, the 49ers are good. Low key, WTF happened to the Rams? Those Niner boys look good. They look good. Congrats to T. Congrats, Heller.
Home game, it looked like out there.
I will, yeah. That's just embarrassing. I mean, I don't
much
want to
red.
talk about it, but it's, yeah. I mean, this is a photo. That's what we have on the screen. Here's a photograph of the.
You got photos now?
Actually, a home game for the Rams. You wouldn't think so because there's no Rams. Well, there's one right there. Yeah. And I think there's a small patch here of some blue. And then there's like a guy right there. But the rest are all 49ers fans.
Could be Dodgers hats too, you know. Like
could be what?
Dodgers hats, you know, they could have, you know.
True.
You know, just,
but I doubt you were going to wear a Dodgers hat and a Niners jersey. Like, that ain't the swag.
You'd be surprised. But.
The 49ers, though, yeah, that's true. They never put, I wouldn't be surprised. 49ers, though, are one of the most fun teams to watch just traditionally when they're swaggy. Because everybody kind of has a good level of respect for the 49ers because Montana was the pre-GOAT, who's now been passed by the new GOAT, but he's OG GOAT, and so everyone has, and Jerry Rice obviously is the GOAT. So there's a very like steady, I feel, respect for the 49ers. It's not fun when the 49ers aren't good, and this particular group of 49ers are very swaggy and very fun to watch. The defense looks incredible. They've got 6 first-round picks on the defensive side, which is staggering. Obviously, they're 5-0. They're top the NFC West. I really grossly underrated them this year, and I'm very embarrassed about that. I apologize. Robert Salah is a huge football guy. My dude loves tackles and Gatorade. That dude loves... He might have Gatorade with dinner. I wouldn't be surprised.
So good at yelling.
He is. I mean, he's
so
out there.
good at yelling.
But I love it. It's fun. Like, it's swaggy. It's fun. They're fun to watch. They're playing incredible. The Rams, however, are a mess. Jared Goff is having to throw 1 million times per game prior to this game, and he had 78 yards against the Niners, which is along with a few of his attempts this season. So they don't know what they're doing on the offensive side, which is crazy. McVay has lost all of his magic or something. Now Talib is on the IR. The O-line is a huge problem. They paid everybody, especially Todd Gurley, who didn't play against the 49ers. So I don't know what the Rams are going to do. It seems like the season is slipping away from them, which is sad because I like the Rams. High-key, the Texans are great now that they have an offensive line. Low-key, the Chiefs cannot win a championship with this defense. They can't. Congrats to the Texans on finally giving DESHAUN Watson the opportunity to play quarterback instead of tag. Congratulations on that. He's looked amazing in the last 2 games, and that's because they've had no sacks in the last 2 games. So, you know, it's a really strange coincidence when you actually allow DESHAUN Watson to go back there and do what he does instead of running around like a crazy person. And the Chiefs, it's pretty simple with the Chiefs. Mahomes is injured. He's playing hurt on that ankle. It's very obvious that his ankle is hurt. and he's not the same. He doesn't have the same mobility, and their defense can't stop a drippy nose. They're on the field all day. Like it doesn't even matter. Even if Mahomes was 100% healthy, he's on the sideline. So it serves you no purpose. In the last 2 games that they've lost, he's had 10 minutes less on the field than the games they won. It's pretty simple. Get off the field. Get somebody off the field. It doesn't matter. And you can't do that against Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson's going to score points. That's what he does, especially now that he has an offensive line. But it wouldn't matter anyway because it's not like the Chiefs are going to get to him. But, I mean, they have to figure something out there. I don't know what it is. It doesn't matter how good Mahomes is if he's on the sideline. So I'm concerned about the Chiefs right now. They got a lot of injuries. But shout out to the Texans. And, like, it's so fun. That was a fun game to watch regardless because you did see Mahomes versus Deshaun Watson, which is going to be lots of fun for many years to come. But hopefully the Chiefs get it together. Loser power rankings. These are the losers of the week. All right, it's time for loser power rankings. We're going to have the Dolphins once again. Now, they're literal losers because they literally lost, but, you know, they had a little moment there. They were teasing. I really thought they were going to win this game. This was the game to win, obviously, playing the Washington team. They almost messed up the tank, but they came through with the missed 2-point conversion. So the tank is still on.
Great drop.
More importantly, well, look, first of all, I hate tanking, so I'm not happy about that at all. I wanted them to win. They benched Josh Rosen inexplicably for Ryan Fitzpatrick because they needed a spark, says Coach Flores. Then after the game, he says that Rosen is still a starter. Now he's saying he needs to see a little bit more in practice from Josh Rosen. It's the same nonsense with the Dolphins. There is no plan. Like, they're fooling you. They're fooling all of you. They're fooling everyone. There is no plan. They don't have any idea what they're doing. You don't bench. If you're actually tanking, why would you bench Josh Rosen if he's playing badly? Isn't that the point? Hello? Then you put Fitzpatrick out there. They almost mess it up for anyone who cares about them losing every single game, which I don't. And then the big plan is to get Tua. And I'm going to just say it now because this is how I really feel. I don't think that Tua is an NFL quarterback. Okay? And if he is an NFL quarterback and he goes to the Dolphins, I'm going to be right anyway because they tanked this year, so they're not going to be good next year. And he is not the quarterback that's going to turn the Dolphins franchise around single-handedly. So they need a lot more pieces than just Tua. So if he was going to be a franchise quarterback, Tua, you better hope that the Dolphins mess this up and you go somewhere else and you can prove me wrong. Because I really want them to take Jalen Hurts. Nobody believes in Jalen Hurts but me, apparently, because people don't even talk about him as a top 10 quarterback. I don't understand that, but I would like can you give me the list of the Alabama quarterbacks that have done well in the NFL? So we have that?
I don't need to look it up. I think there's no one. Joe Namath, maybe? Did he go to Alabama?
Joe Namath. Yeah. Oh. Joe Namath? Okay.
Yeah, the guy with the jacket.
No, he does wear a jacket. Yes, Joe Namath wears jackets. I love Joe Namath. Joe Namath is Joe Namath is great. Joe Namath was playing football before I was alive.
There's a couple others who are either contemporaries of Joe or before him. Bart Starr, Ken Stabler. Stabler.
Starr!
Yep.
I stand corrected. Bart Starr, Ken Stabler, and Joe Namath. So it's cool.
Yeah.
All right. That's my thoughts on that. Okay. As of recent, while we're, not so much success with the Alabama quarterback. So I'll be a believer when I see it.
AJ McCarron's a solid backup somewhere, I think.
I don't need a backup. I'm not thanking for AJ McCarron.
Brody Croyle had those years.
Look, Tua's better than those guys, but regardless, we're not tanking for that. And then they got the Bills next week, so good luck with that. That's another hot L for you. The Falcons are the worst. It's over. I won't speak on them again for the rest of the season unless they do something like ruin someone's playoff chances. But I mean, we're done with I don't know what happened. I don't have the answers, but we're just done with the Falcons. They're the worst. And all you had to do is beat the stupid Cardinals, and you messed up my picks. Finally, Winston and Mariota. So, to be clear, I was never a fan of either one of these guys. I did not think that either one of them were going to be game changers in the NFL. Each of them for different reasons. But please spare us another season of them. Like I was really waiting to see if Bruce Arians could get Jameis into a consistent space. And it's not that either one of them don't have the ability to be good franchise quarterbacks. At least in Jameis' situation, he just cannot be consistent. Heller, so, okay. What do you got, Heller?
Okay, so I read something that I thought was interesting. When I pitched it to you, I didn't realize that this person, John Canzano, writes for the Oregonian, so he's a little biased towards Mariota because he went to Oregon. Went to Oregon. But here's what I thought was an interesting thought on Mariota.
Okay.
Coach fired, GM fired, replacement coach fired, ownership transferred, president out, coach fired, coordinator leaves, new coordinator fired, blame Marcus Mariota, why not? The Titans are running out of moves. What do you say to that?
I mean, I say that sucks. Like, that's a crappy situation to be in if you're Marcus Mariota. That said, fans don't care about that. And there's no column on the wins and losses for all the mitigating circumstances that led to you not being able to play good football. So I don't, regardless, what happens on the field is the final product. And there's lots of situations where guys are in crazy circumstances like that. I mean, we could probably run down that list for the Dolphins, I'm sure. The only team really that's been traditionally awful that has consistency is the Bengals. So you can do that for the Browns. Like, there's lots of situations where guys don't get the chances that Marcus Mariota has had despite all of that turnover. So maybe it's not all his fault, but yeah, you know, I think we're done here. Like, I don't need to see any more from Mariota. Mariota is Tannehill. So if you like that, everyone likes what they like. I'm not judging. But I'm done with Marcus Mariota and Jameis Winston. All right, time for the culture report. What's the TT?
All right, so Gemini Man starring Will Smith hit theaters on Friday. People either really loved it or really hated it. What did you think about the film?
Well, as I said at the beginning of this podcast, I loved it. And I liked it more than the Joker. And I don't care what kind of problems you have with it. Here's what I've decided about the Joker. It's like you can't, it's one of those movies where like you can't say it wasn't good. Like it's against the rules to be like, no, I didn't really enjoy the cinematography. Like, it's like everyone said it's the greatest movie of all time, so therefore you've got to say it. I walked out of the film with Earl and we had the same reaction, which is, okay, we've got three major problems. Why is there no emotional connection to any of the black women in the film? Why is Thomas Wayne a jerk? That completely kills the narrative of Batman altogether. And why'd you gotta shoot Maury? Nobody wants to see Robert De Niro shot, okay? So, like, those three things are major issues for me with the Joker, and I can't get over them, along with some other things that went on. But for the most part, I didn't really enjoy it. I mean, it was a good movie, and Joaquin Phoenix did an incredible job. He should get an Oscar. Amazing performance. Overall better film. But I walked out of Gemini Man and was like, that was fun to watch. I enjoyed myself. I didn't have to figure anything out. You know, it was very simple. I thought the graphic of, you know, young Will Smith was very good, even though we know what young Will Smith looks like. And he didn't look like young Will Smith, but it was a really good graphic until, you know, at the end, they had him out in the sun. I was like, you didn't have to put him in the sun. Like, we're good. Like, it was good. It was good action. Dare I say, a bit face-off-ish. But again, once they got him outside in the sun at the end of the movie, it was like, ugh. It was kind of like when you go to the club, like you go get pizza after the club with your girls and you're like, oh, let's get to go. Yeah. We don't look good. Like, we thought we looked good, but like you have some dirt on your feet and like, we got to go. Your lash is coming up. We have no glue. Let's go. But overall, I'm sorry. Like, I enjoyed myself more at the theater watching Gemini Man than I did the Joker. Absorb that however you will. I'll be that guy that said the Joker wasn't my favorite movie, and Heath Ledger still did a better job. Still did a good job, Joaquin. I liked it. Go ahead.
So you want to know what Martin Scorsese and Jennifer Aniston have in common? They are not fans of Marvel films. Aniston suggested the superhero brand is degrading cinema, and Scorsese said superhero films are not cinema. They're entitled to their own opinion, but are they speaking facts?
She said it wasn't cinema?
What's cinema?
Oh, okay, listen. I don't want to get crazy. First of all, don't be the person that outthinks fun, okay? Don't be that guy. Like, it's just fun. We all enjoy it. Every generation can go and see this film. We can all have conversations about it. We can pick our favorites, and there's no one that's wrong. We all hate the same guy. Who would do that? Who would wipe out half the universe? You know, it's just good fun. Stop trying to be smarter than fun. You're not. You're not better than fun, okay? Everyone loves fun. There's a reason why every single one of these movies crushes all the records and forever will. We love smart too, all right? But it's like, life is hard, all right? And sometimes we just want to watch the Hulk smash something. And don't judge me for that, okay? And nobody, we're all on the same page. And like when these kind of like, you know, you're going to swim upstream, just pick something else. Pick a different lane, because Marvel movies are awesome. They're fucking awesome, and that's just all there is to it. So you're not gonna be smarter than Marvel movies. And Samuel L. Jackson already shut this down, because he said, like, everyone's entitled to their own opinion. You're right. You do have an opinion. You are completely available to be wrong. What's next?
So Zoe Kravitz has been cast as Selena Kyle, a.k.a. Catwoman, in The Batman that comes out summer 2021. There's already been an overwhelming support of the casting choice so far. Are you here for this?
I love Zoe Kravitz. I love the whole Kravitz family. The whole Kravitz family tree, extended, married in. It's all great. And I'm so here for this. And I didn't know that Robert Pattinson, how did I miss this? How did I miss that Robert Pattinson was playing Batman? We don't deserve this film. Okay, and I don't want to get crazy here because I just kind of trashed the Joker, but I meant it. And I'm somebody who loves black hats and absolutely adores villains. But this might be the best Batman of all time. And I'm very skeptical of Catwoman, and that's Halle Berry's fault. But but this isn't a Catwoman-centric film. She's playing Catwoman in the film. Because what's her name that plays everything? And sometimes she's kind of irritating, but we all love her. Anne Hathaway. She did a good job. I liked her. And I was very concerned about how that was going to go. And she pulled it off well. She was like just the right amount of spice that it was believable. 1% over and it would have been canceled. But it was perfect. And so I love this. I love Zoe Kravitz. I'm here for this. It's going to be a great movie. I'm very excited. I had no idea Robert Pattinson was going to be in it. He's amazing. I mean, who doesn't love Twilight? Right? He's done other films, but I'm excited for it. So yes, approved. All right, that's it this week for the Maybe I'm Crazy podcast. Thanks for joining us. Thanks to Jane Slater from NFL Network for joining us. We appreciate all her Cowboys knowledge. And make sure that you follow on all of our social media pages at Maybe I'm Crazy Pod and subscribe on YouTube at Maybe I'm Crazy Pod, Maybe I'm Crazy with Joy Taylor. And we are on Apple Podcasts, we are on Spotify, we are on SoundCloud, we are on YouTube, we are on the iHeartMedia app. So if you don't like the way you were listening today, there's other options for you. But we appreciate you joining us, and we'll catch you next week.
Maybe I'm crazy, maybe I'm not.